Another Wednesday, 7 p.m. Welcome to Face Soumyajit. And right now, we are with another change maker. What should I say? International, national, or of Kolkata? And I will tell more about Dr. Michelle Harrison. She came from, I think, the US. She was
Yeah.
in US, a physician. More story will come when we will have our conversation. It will proceed. And in Kolkata, how she is, what is her passion, how he saved the lives of children, how she is pulling everyday show, how hurdles are coming and how she is overcoming. So the formal introduction I will give afterwards. Let us first see one audiovisual on Dr. Michelle Harrison.
Thank you. Thank you.
So from this audiovisual, everything is clear. And now I will formally introduce Dr. Michelle Harrison in course of our conversation. So my first question to a 78-year, not old lady, young lady.
Yeah.
How was how was your 78 years of journey? I will give you only 2 minutes. First, describe how.
Minutes.
Yes,
I've always had dreams and I've always wanted to manifest those dreams, to do the things and I've been like that since I was very, very young. I kind of see how much better things could be, and I kind of want to go and say, "Hey, look, we can do this better." And I've, in my own way, I've gotten away with that all my life. I mean, there are challenges. You pay a price for all of that. You learn to roll with the punches and get back up. But it's a good life. I've had a very good life, and it's still a very good life. I feel blessed to be able to do the work that I'm doing.
right. Thank you very much for this nice introduction of your 78 years of life. And I
Yeah.
told our viewers that I will not formally introduce her before she starts a conversation with us. And let me tell something about her. Dr. Harrison began her career in rural South Carolina as part of President Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. It was a program that included sanitation, nursing care, medical and dental care. She believes healthcare must be accessible to all, independent of economics. Her medical career, spanning more than 35 years, included many things and family medicine, then gynecological area. Her books are A Woman in Residence, Self-Help for Premenstrual Syndrome, and the preteens' first book about love, sex, and AIDS. She has taught at Harvard, University of Pittsburgh. She has authored academic papers and magazine articles. Her op-ed pieces had appeared in the Wall Street Journal and the Chicago Sun-Times. 6 years with Johnson and Johnson Corporate, first as worldwide director of medical affairs in consumer and then as executive director of Johnson and Johnson Institute for Children, gave her the skills and experience needed to plan, develop and lead child life preserve Shishu Seva. And right now in Kolkata, Dr. Michelle Harrison, founder and secretary of the board, Shishu Seva. We are with Dr. Michelle Harrison. So, welcome to Face Show, Mujit, Dr. Michelle Harrison.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to see you. Very happy to be here.
Yes. My question, when did you think of this Shishu Seva and what were the turbulent days when you started this Shishu Seva?
Well, first of all, I have a daughter I adopted from Calcutta in 1984, and I raised her in the United States, where she still lives very happily. Um, but I always wondered what happens to the other children, the children not adopted. And we came to visit Calcutta in 2000 when she was 16. And I saw how bad it really was for the orphan children. And people would say to me, well, nothing really can be done. We can feed them, we can keep them alive, but they'll never be like our children. And I thought, this is not true. I have one. She is my child. She's accomplished. She went to Columbia University. I mean, she she's had a good life. And I thought, but there are also losses, loss of identity, heritage, mother tongue, religion. And I thought, why can't this be done in India? Except I kept hearing nothing can be done. And so I thought, you know, if people believe nothing can be done, they can't even imagine what it would look like to try. And I thought, I'm going to show them. I'm going to develop a model of a home for orphan girls and show what can be done. And partly I didn't know how much could be done, but this seemed like something worthwhile that I could show people, and then they would get excited about it. They would want to see more of this, and they would believe that these children have a future. And in fact, they are our children.
Yes,
So 2005 is really when, and my younger daughter, Cece, was graduating from Columbia, and my older daughter from law school in New York. And I said, guys, I'm going to India and I'm going to start an orphanage. Um, and that's when I started. I sold everything I had in the US, the house and all of it, and came here to Calcutta with my savings. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I did it.
right. So, it's a really, the story cannot be concluded within 2, 3 minutes. But when I was going through the website of Shishu Sheva, I came to know that you nurture several programs: inclusive education,
Right,
inclusive living.
right,
You have Tony Harrison Center for
right,
RT&A, high
right.
quality medical care, eye controlled computer speech, culture, heritage, and religion. So I will start with the last one: cultural, heritage, and religion.
Yes.
What do you mean by this particular program?
We're a very Indian home. I'm Jewish by background. I knew very little about Hinduism. except that it was a pagan. I mean, I had heard negative, there were always negative connotations. I also knew about um, Eastern religion and philosophy, so I was aware of that part of it. And when I came here, within days, it was clear to me that the children at the time had just come out of, they had all been in a government institution, very traumatized, and they loved their gods. These weren't just clay or brass. When they had exams, they bathed the gods. These it wasn't the way I'd read about it, that it's not a personal religion. They loved their gods, they dressed them, they were meaningful to them. And I thought, this is beautiful. This is what I have to help them build. Because they're girls, I wanted them raised so that when they married, if they decided to marry, that they would know the rituals, that they wouldn't be outsiders, that they could join a family and take take part fully in what's going on and not feel kind of second class. And as I've been more involved, I've become much closer to Hinduism. And so I'll show you the locket I wear, 3 lockets. One is the Star of David, my heritage. The other is Ma Kali, who truly gives me strength, which I need at times. And the other is Gopal, the naughty Krishna, because I have a naughty Krishna inside me too. I think we all do. We all have that naughty child, and it's loved. So these are the sources of power and inspiration, and that's how I do it. And that's what the girls have. I mean, they have learned to do many of the pujas on their own. We used to have a pundit in each time, but somehow they would come and they'd be talking on the phone at the whole time and doing the ritual. And our girls really learned. The Mashis here who help take care of them, they've taught them. Um, they can read the Sanskrit. Um, um,
Yes, yes,
uh, what do you call it? Hymns? What mantras? Um, so it's I'm giving them their culture. They didn't have their culture when they came. Children in institutions, children living on the street, abject poverty, they didn't visit the nice pandals. They
yes,
didn't know, I mean, they didn't know any of this.
yes, yes,
They were
yes.
outsiders, and now they're
Right.
insiders. And
Yes,
that's what I wanted for them. And
yes,
it can be done.
yes. So unknowingly, I have asked some question, and from where I could unearth the real source of your inspiration and where is the nerve center, I could understand. So it's really fantastic. And you always say that your first priority is children.
Yes,
Believing it,
yes,
yes. You always put them in first slot, and you have no reasons to exist if children are not there.
yeah.
And
I think
your
that's
next,
true.
you always say that your next priority is to develop a strong infrastructure so that Shishu Sheva can meet the lifetime needs of these children with disabilities. This is your passion, vision, and inner feeling.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So tell us, how do you take it forward? That what are the some details? Please give us. How do you take these things forward in real life?
Okay. So, first of all, I have a range. My children range from severely disabled to one who's finishing class 12 exams now, one at class 10. Um, one of our girls is in the advanced training program with Mamta Shankar, um, and we've been asked to get a passport for her. One of our girls is an artist and had a show at ICCR. Um, so some of them are working on making jewelry. All of them wanted to give back to the community and always asked, they'd say, we want to help more children. So we are planning to start a free community inclusive play school. And we have a sponsor, Vesuvius Limited, has backed us for this. And we were planning to open 2 weeks before the lockdown started last year. So the school is empty. And we're hoping in the next few months to be able to open. And our girls will be teaching. I'll be teaching. But I want the children, we're working with the new educational policy and learning by play. I want to give the poorest of the children, a chance to enter school on a level playing field so that they have some of the, not just the knowledge, but the behavior, the social skills for entering school. The
Right.
other thing we're working on is we have done a lot of sari painting and inclusive art where we have the abled and the disabled working together and coming out with some really imaginative
Is
patterns that we showed at the exhibition. And so we're looking at ways of developing a business model so that we can actually sell some of those. Selling from an NGO is complicated, and I only do things by the book. And so we're working right now with some people to try and figure out how can we meet the rules of NGO and at the same time develop these products and the creativity of the girls in order to, in an entrepreneurial sense, and
right.
to create something that will keep us going.
Right. So, well, I was accessing your website and some material. I came to know that there is Children's Smart, I think, Center. Am I
That's right.
correct?
That's what we were 2 weeks short of opening
Uh,
and
so,
lockdown came.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
all set. We have the building, we have the materials, we have kids we enrolled.
So it is already operating?
No, because we don't have the children, and you can't do online with 2-year-olds. I
Oh,
mean that, but we're ready to open. We've met with our local counselors. We're waiting till after elections. Um, the local community and political people know that we're going to be opening this.
right,
We just
right,
have to
right,
be a little
right,
bit more patient.
right, right. So, just as a matter of curiosity, can I ask you how many children are there at Shishu Shebai?
15 right now. 15. 1 5.
One five. It
One
is always
1 5.
constant.
No, I mean it's been. I don't send children away, and we started with 12. There were a
Oh,
couple who left along the way,
oh,
but model is a model of keeping them until they're okay on their own. Now, some
oh,
will never be, but um, the ones we have one girl who's getting married this summer, um, and which is her dream, and the one at class 12 will go on to college. So, you know, we don't throw our own daughters out of the house at 18, but the government institutions do that. And we don't take government money because we don't want to be ruled by that. This is a mother house, and um, it's actually a very small house, but we all sleep on mats on the floor. So I've told the girls, you need a place to stay. Whenever you come home, there's always room on the floor. So what I want to see are more models like this. I want to see others doing this. They have to be small because you can do for 15, but you can't do for 100. All
Hmm.
right. I, it just, the karate, the music, the dance, the academics, I wanted to show what can be done, not how many. And it's great to have how many, but you can't do this.
I have one question that is, you have definitely thought of the future of Shishu Shebai, and
Yes,
there you have thought of inclusive living, Ichedana
right,
Inclusive School, Children's
right.
Smart Center, already we have discussed, then Tony Harrison Center for Research, Training and
Right.
Advocacy. So, what is this Tony Harrison Center for Research, Training and Advocacy? What you actually do with this program?
With that program, we want to expand our training and our advocacy. I mean, we want to get more, because we're innovative, we want to be able to get more international students coming. We'd like to eventually link up with the university.
Acha.
Um, and we want to do local advocacy. Even what we're doing with the school, one problem is you don't see children with disabilities at public functions, in the park. And I want them to be able to be a part of the public spaces. They belong. And people sometimes are scared at first and then they figure out what's going on. I want us to help people with that so that these children are not hidden away in back bedrooms, which is what often happens here and other places too.
Acha. So,
Toonie was a baby with Down syndrome who was found under some bushes,
right,
and the government couldn't find anybody to take her, and truly we were begged to take her. And
right.
after we got her, it turned out she had very severe heart disease,
Hmm.
and she died during heart surgery at Medica. But
Oh,
she
oh,
somehow made a really profound effect on all of us. She kind of felt like an angel who had come to be with us. And so we created that center in her name to honor
right.
her.
Right. And see, I just came to know one fact that you are a cancer survivor. Is it right?
That I'm what? I didn't
Huh?
hear you. I didn't hear that. That I'm what?
Then, I came from some of the write-up that following cancer, life felt uncertain for you. So, are you cancer survivor?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I had cancer in 1999. I discovered
Yes,
it.
yes.
And
That is not
yes,
my question.
right.
So you fought with such a disease that people, when heard of this thing, get nervous. They think life is lost. But from that point of time, you took a different turn in your life, I think.
For me, it was a time to review and to time to figure out what do I still want to do.
Right,
And I used to have these long conversations with God, and um, I'd say, I have no power. I mean, I'm going to live or I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do about it. And I'm not trying to bargain with you. I don't do that. It's not my decision. But I got to tell you, I still have so much work to do. Now, maybe you have a better assignment for me, but I've got a lot of work that I still want to do here.
Yes,
So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the
yes.
work I've been
I,
allowed
I,
to.
I think before Shishur Sheva, you started focusing in India by sponsoring children in schools,
Yes, right,
building toilets in
right,
village,
right.
then
That's right.
septic tank at orphanage, and learning
Right.
about the harsh realities of the lives of orphan children. And
Yes,
that way, the interest started growing in your inner soul that something should be
right,
done, something should be done.
right. And
Yes,
nobody, I mean, nobody was doing it like I thought it should be done.
yes.
So, kind of the more I learned, the more I said, I've got to do something.
Right, right, right. But now I will come to another. Your published articles were in very reputed journals. You wrote book, and one book you wrote, A Woman in Residence.
Yes.
So yes, A Woman in Residence. Why this caption? I have not read the book. I will definitely read that book because I was not knowing about this book. So tell us something about this. Definitely
Okay.
some reflection of your life will be there in that book.
Definitely.
Yes, please.
Um, A Woman in Residence is a story of my residency in obstetrics and gynecology. And I had always loved it, but I had ended up in family medicine. And then I found myself, actually, when I lived in New Jersey, doing home births because well off women were refusing to go to the hospital. And out of that, I decided I wanted more training. And at the time, my first daughter was 5 years old. And so I wanted a part time residency. So I was the first part time resident in OBGYN in the US. And part time was 80 hours a week. I'm not joking. So, and I kept a diary of what I was doing every day. The book is a tale of my struggles. It's also the story of some of the terrible things that go on in the hospital and the abuses of women, the lies, the technology that sometimes hasn't been proven, the violation of privacy. And at a certain point, I couldn't do it anymore. I I write in the book, I couldn't lift the knife and cut into a woman when I knew the operation wasn't needed. I mean, this was the early days of the increasing cesarean section. Doctors would have theater tickets or dinner plans, and they'd say, hey, let's do her at 5. I've got a dinner that I have to go to. And I left. I mean, I couldn't make the compromises that were necessary. And I was afraid that if I tried to, I would change. Because that's what I saw around me. When you can't just sell a piece of your soul, you're kind of intact or you're not intact anymore. And I've held on to some core of integrity and refusing to give in. That's been frustrating for people and frustrating for me at times. But I can't do it. I was told that I couldn't be trusted to do things I didn't believe in. And that's true. That's absolutely true.
Right. And now I'll
I,
come to
yeah, go
please,
ahead.
please, please,
Go
please,
ahead.
please, please. I will come to another question that will obviously be helpful for our viewers to understand. Your model, Shishu Seva, that is deinstitutionalization of orphan and disabled children and creation of inclusive family style group home. And your organization is doing the best practices model for inclusive non-institutional care for lost and abandoned girls
Right, right.
and some with profound disabilities, all of whom had already been rejected for adoption. So, do you think that your model has been replicated in other parts of India? And another question: this kind of children, how I think in several lakhs will be available in India. How they are being taken care by the government, all the NGOs. Do you have any idea about it?
Yeah, I do. The care is terrible. I mean, it's the four. Let me just tell you how I ended up inclusive because I hadn't planned it, and that's part of being a change maker. Sometimes you shift what you think you're doing. I wasn't thinking about disability. I'd been approved for 8 girls. I went to the institution to pick up the girls, and they said to me there, we have these 4 handicapped children, babies. Would you help us out and maybe take 2? You don't have to. And I looked at the 4 and I thought, I can't choose. And I went back, I said, I'll take them all. So that day we came home with 12, and we're a small house and we're inclusive. Years later, they said, how did you get both normal and handicapped? I said, you gave them to me. So, but that turned out to be the most beautiful part and strength of Shisha Savai, because these children grew to care for each other. The orphan girls had also lost siblings because poor girls by 5 were taking care of 2 little kids. They mourned more for their little brothers and sisters. The disabled children desperately needed hugs and care and careful feeding and cleaning and all of that. So it turned out to be a really wonderful combination. It gave us strength and it turned us into a family instead of a hostel, instead of an institution. Some of our girls, we've been here 14 years, some of them with severe disabilities have hit 18. There are no government institutions for them or care. There is nothing. So we need to transition to a lifetime care. When I took the 4, when they first came in 2007, I took them to a pediatrician at CMRI, and she said to me, thinking I would be pleased, she said, well, don't worry, at least they won't live very long. And they're vibrant children. Ganga and Bornali speak through the Toby eye tracker. They can tell us what's on their mind by using their eyes to
Yes.
control the computer.
What you call that? Eye tracker.
It's an eye tracker. The
Right.
Toby is the brand, and it's an eye
Toby,
tracker.
Toby, Toby eye tracker. Yes.
Yes. So none of this. We were the first customers in India to buy the Toby because I'd been following the technology. I love technology. So no, it's not being replicated in. I don't know of another model like ours anywhere. At this point, we have another problem, which is the Juvenile Justice Act doesn't allow mixing of handicapped and non-handicapped.
Acha.
So if I were to do this today, I couldn't, they wouldn't give me the children. So I don't know. I mean, it's what, two steps forward and three back or something. I mean, I want to use our model. I want the success of our girls to eventually impact even how the government sees all this.
Right. So the journey is to us, normal human being. I do not know. It's a huge task. And one question is coming to my mind. When you are just taking care of all needs, how do you take medical care of these children? How is the robustness of your system? How do you take care?
Um, I'm not licensed here, but the normal rashes and things like that. When they've been seriously ill, I've spent the money on private hospitals.
Acha.
The first time one of the children was really very sick with seizures, the doctor told me to go to the government hospital. And I thought, that's not where I would take my children. I can't do that. I so I I dread doing it, but I mean, we've used Medica, we've used Fortis, we've used Apollo, um, Bellevue, CMRI a few times, um, and we try to get donations for that. But the bottom line is, and my funds are running down, but bottom line is, I reach deeper in my pocket and take care of them because they're our family. Yeah,
Okay. So every day is a challenge. Every day is a challenge. And you are
it's
smiling.
true.
And you are smiling. Dr. Michelle Harrison, 78-year
Yeah,
young lady, is smiling after encountering challenge every moment, every hour, every day, every month. And
I'm look.
she,
I'm looking for
all,
someone to take over. I'm not going to leave Shisha Savai ever, but
yeah,
I'm looking. I would like to retire from the front line.
yes,
So I just put that out there.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No,
See,
I'm not leaving. This is where I am for life.
I think it's a story which cannot be concluded. This conversation cannot be concluded. But I have another two, three questions, and
Sure.
I'll be requesting short answers. See,
Okay.
this Shishu Sheva you started. Definitely, I know the background. You started helping people in India. You focused in India. But was there some cruelty factor? It came to your mind that these children are not being dealt properly and some people are doing some malpractices with them. This sort of thing came to your mind and you start,
Absolutely. I mean, the more I became aware of that, the
yes,
sale of children, the
please,
trafficking of babies, the
yes,
corruption.
please tell
Okay.
us that story because that is the story you started blowing whistles at that point of time. You never got
But
yourself frustrated.
listen, in 2016, there was a big public outcry about the trafficking of babies. Several of the people had actually been associated with the orphanage my daughter came from, and I was not surprised. One of the people was from the nursing home where she was actually born. In 2006, 10 years before that, I reported what I knew to three different departments in the government, and nothing happened. Then in 2013, somebody overheard me talking to someone else and said, "You have got to tell the government. I know somebody in the government, and you've got to tell him." So I did. And I met with this official, and he threatened me. He said, "You shouldn't be thinking about that. You should be thinking about your own licenses and your own orphanage." And I backed off. But some of the people I reported in 2006 are still in jail right now because they
Acha.
were the ones caught finally. I think part of what happened is demonetization put a shortage on cash and it left conflicts and somebody reported something, whatever. And that's how they discovered what everyone knew was there anyway. Everyone knew what was going on. Every night people would come and pick up babies there. Everyone in the area knew. But what happened is the more I went at one point to the Human Rights Commission, met with Dr. Sen, the worse I realized it was, the more I felt I have to do something. I have to come. I can't ignore this. And that's what brought me.
Right. Just, I cannot believe how you did all this thing. Apparently, you seem to be very soft-hearted, but you are not like that. You are Iron Lady, with
Yes.
passion. Yes, 78
I,
year
I
young lady with iron dealings, everything with iron hand. So let me come to another question. This particular thing attacked institutions or organizations, individuals in a way which in an unprecedented way, and you can understand this difficult time, this whatever you say, Corona, COVID, anything. It, I think, it had impacted you also, your organization also, and with these children how did you manage these difficult times?
we rallied. I mean, first of all, we did a lot of celebrating. I'm not kidding. We had a lot. We made a big deal. I think it was one of the very best Durga Pujas we had because we pretended or we acted as if we were actually going out and we dressed and we recorded and um, we learned and we cooked special foods. We learned to celebrate as much as we could. That's number one. Number two, we were able to keep our classes going online because our girls have had computer classes, I think, for about 6 or 7 years now. And they were able to handle all the problems, the technical problems, along with Purba, who's our academic director, on remote at times. And they were never late for a class. I mean, that was unheard of. They were, in some ways, more responsible than when they were in different schools and we had a regular program. Um, and they understand, they care about each other, and they care about me. And they always know I'm trying. Um, and um, it's it's been hard, but we've all grown.
Amazing. I'm speechless how you manage all these things. So, our conversation will never end because your this work with so much dimension cannot be concluded in such conversation. Still, every good thing should have an ending also. So we will have our conversation to an end. But before that, I thank you, Dr. Michelle Harrison, who came here in India as a tourist, most probably in 1984, and
No,
visited.
no, I didn't. I came back with my daughter in 2000. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
but
that's okay.
yeah. So
Yes.
she came here, she started doing for the society. She contributed so much things. She also mentioned that without government subsidy, everything is being done. Am I correct, Dr. Michel?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Definitely.
so many donors worldwide
Yes.
from India,
Yes.
Kolkata, they are helping Dr. Michelle Harrison and their board to carry out these novel activities. And we hope that uh, Shishu Sheva children will be setting up example for the entire world. And
Yes.
Shishu Sheva will be a brand name for the people who believe in humanity. They will come forward and they will donate for this cause. They will raise these children and they will stand beside Shishu Sheva, Dr. Michelle Harrison. And with that, thank you, Dr. Michelle Harrison, for coming to this chat show, face to face show, Mujib. Thank you very much once again. And only I will request you to give a closing remarks before I formally announce an end of this show. What's your closing remarks?
My closing remarks is that when I first came to India with my daughter in 2000, I met so many people who wanted to do good, but didn't know how, didn't know who to trust, what to do. And so, in a way, I see myself as a catalyst for and bringing together people who want to see improvement, people who want to see change. So, I didn't do any of this alone. I'm a lot of energy and I'm a catalyst, but it's it's an Indian project and I want it always to be an Indian project.
I feel really honored that today I'm able to host you in this show. So with that, thank you once again, Dr. Michelle Harrison, for coming to this show. So once again, I personally believe that Shishu Sheba will be a driving force in this particular field for the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaskar, Soumyajit welcomes you to Face Soumyajit. If you like our show, please visit Face to Face Soumyajit, like it and share it. Also, subscribe our YouTube channel iCommunications. Press the bell icon to get instant notifications.